You are listening to This is Oklahoma, hosted by Mike Hearn, telling stories of Oklahomans and those that have made it their home.
This podcast is presented by the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, telling Oklahoma stories through its people since 1927. Follow them online at oklahomahof.com and definitely on Instagram at oklahomahof. Let's get into today's episode. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of This is Oklahoma. Mike Hearn here, your host, back with another episode in Oklahoma City today. Talk to you about some farming and ranching. Nikki Callison's with me from Callison Ranch, just to dive into it. And I mean, you have a wonderful social media presence, and I love someone who takes time in their social media and values it as a significant way to market a business and the stuff and tell the stories that you do. Because, I mean, moving into the modern world, everybody's on their Instagram and their thumbs are moving. So I do appreciate other people's Instagram, and I think yours is definitely one of them.
Well, thank you, Mike. It's great to be here with you. The Instagram has been a new world over the last few years, and I just love it because it's an opportunity to take our ranching life from day to day, and we are very active on our stories and showing what we're doing across the rolling hills of Oklahoma.
Yeah, and most people wouldn't assume that Oklahoma has rolling hills, but from down where you guys are at, it's beautiful out there,
yes.
Isn't it?
Thank you.
And I get it. I get the sense when people who I meet who are in farming and ranching, there is a certain understanding of sunrise, sunset, just peace and quiet out there, even though your knees are probably hurting you, your hands are definitely hurting because it's not an easy job to do. So those moments when the sun's going up or coming down in Oklahoma is over the pasture and stuff, and seeing your cattle out there, that's a special moment, and you get to live that every day sometimes. We do.
It's it is hard work, but it's very satisfying. It's a good life, good way to raise kids. So.
Yeah. So you grew up, in the business growing up. Your family's been in ranching with generations.
Yes. Oklahoma ranchers for 3 generations, I guess, here in Oklahoma. But I grew up on a 2,000-acre cattle ranch right on the Oklahoma-Texas border, and with 4 brothers. So very, very busy. My parents' ranch motto was Raisin Kids, cattle, and quality horses. and I think they took the kids part very seriously. And it was called McCoy Ranch.
Yeah.
And a great way to grow up. But when I got to be a senior in high school, I thought, I want to see the big world. And actually moved to Texas, got a degree in history, and taught school for about 10 years.
Wow.
But I can tell you the day that I knew I was headed back to Oklahoma, where my heart is.
Yeah.
And I was sitting with some friends outside a Mexican restaurant, having chips and salsa, and I realized that there was nowhere that I could go around Dallas that I could find peace and quiet like I could on the ranch. And that's when I decided to make my way back to Oklahoma, and I'm so glad I did, because 2 weeks later I met my husband, who's also an Okie.
Yeah. So growing up, obviously, you're on the ranch, you're doing everything, there's all hands on deck, isn't it? If
yes.
You're old enough to work, you're working.
Yes.
Do you just get sick of it and think, I'm going to go do something else? I'm going to go work in a classroom.
I think there are people who feel that way, but I never felt that way. As whatever we were doing on the ranch, we were doing it as a family, and it's how you grow up. It gives you an identity with your family. Everybody else is working just as hard as you are, so you really don't see it as, oh, I'm slaving away. That's not how you see it. It's like right. There's an animal in need. It's our job to take care of them.
Yeah. Do you now watch Yellowstone and just cringe at some of the stuff? I figured.
And I think one of the biggest cringe moments is just, I have to say, is the language, because none of the cowboys I know talk that way.
Yeah. That's one thing that just came to mind. I was like, everyone loves Yellowstone. It's such a good TV show, but from a real life perspective, it's not close.
Though, I think from a social media perspective,
sure.
It has made so many people interested in what we do, because they're like, we want to see what real ranchers do.
Yeah.
And so it has piqued a Western interest, if you will.
Yeah. And hey, if you're on the ranch and you need volunteers, come on down and you can shovel as much crap as you want to shovel.
Yes, exactly.
Not that that's all you do, but hey, if there's work to be done, we can find work for you, which is awesome. So where does the love of history come in then? If you think, I'm going to go teach history, you must have loved history growing up.
Actually, no. When my first year of college, I had an incredible history professor, and it opened my eyes to history, and I just really, really love it. So
So from a young age then, you're growing up, education was big for you, so you were definitely going to college, and that was the plan.
Yes. Education is what brought my dad to Oklahoma from Iowa.
Okay.
He came on a rodeo scholarship to Oklahoma State University in the 1960s and stayed and met my mom there, who comes from an Oklahoma ranching family. Her dad was a Oklahoma State representative and a rancher down in the southeastern part of the state.
Yeah. I mean, we could sit and talk about ranching and generations for a long time, which we will today, but I'm sure we could talk for a very long time about it because there's so much rich history there. So did you follow Dad's footsteps and go to Oklahoma State?
I did not.
Okay.
I actually ended up in school in Texas, and that's how I stayed there. Yeah.
That was closer to home?
No.
Not really?
It was, down by Arlington, Texas.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Was Dad not happy with that, or was it just?
You know what? My parents were wherever you want to go.
That's really nice to have, because they're not like, hey, it's orange and that's it, and it's it's America's brightest orange and that's the only place you're going, or you're not going to university.
But I should say that my husband is a huge Oklahoma State fan, and he graduated from there. So.
Yeah. Yes. So then that's when you meet the professor that teaches you in history, and you think, I'm going to fall in love with history. I'm going to become a teacher. And being a teacher in Texas is much better than being a teacher in Oklahoma, as people listening will know.
Well, and in Texas, you actually get a degree in a subject, history, math, whatever, and then you're certified to teach. Whereas in Oklahoma, you might get a degree in education. So it's a little different. And so, I wasn't sure with a history degree if I would go on and do something else with that, but I love teaching in Plano.
So when you become a teacher and you start teaching, what age group do you teach? Because there's a very fine line between, you've got to be a very specific person to love teaching little kids, right?
Well, I taught 4th and 5th grade, so I taught more than just history.
Yeah.
But I found that growing up on a ranch with 4 brothers made me a perfect candidate for teaching.
So, you're the oldest or the youngest?
I am the second. I have an older brother and 3 younger brothers.
Yeah, so again, right in the middle, but you're the only girl. So
yes.
Were you treated like a princess the whole time, or were you treated like one of the boys?
No. And I wasn't treated like a princess, but I wasn't a tomboy either.
Yeah.
So a lot of people ask me, were you a tomboy? And no, but if we were out, swimming in the pond, I was right in the middle of it. So.
Yeah, which is I've said this so many times on the podcast. I'm 31. I grew up playing outside. I grew up pre kind of, Call of Duty generation on Xbox and PlayStation. I broke my arm riding my bike. Like I kind of have those experiences. People don't have those experiences anymore. And I think the only place that they do have those experiences is if they grow up in a ranching family.
Well, I think there's other areas in Oklahoma that you can do that as well.
Yeah.
But definitely you're going to get that on a ranch. And like you said before, when you are old enough to, if you want to carry buckets, no one's going to say, well, you're too young to do that. Whatever, you start early.
Yeah. So you're in the teaching world then. You're living in Plano. You're far removed kind of from the daily ranching kind of all of that stuff, sun up to sundown work and away from family a little bit. What kind of just brings you back then? Why you 10 years is a long time to be in an industry and a career for a lot of people. Do you just think, I miss it?
I did miss it.
Yeah.
I did miss it. And my heart was, I need to get back to Oklahoma. And I guess there was a plan because, like I said, I met my husband here. But I found that the work ethic that I had learned served me very well. I also did not realize until I went to college that there was anything remotely like a glass ceiling. You hear a lot of people talk about women and a glass ceiling. That was not, anything that I wanted to do on the ranch. My dad's very supportive and not just on the ranch, off of it, whether it be educational wise or whatever. So it was almost a little bit of a culture shock for me to see that there might be a discrepancy out in the world. But you know, all of the different things that we do in life bring us, you know, we add it to our toolbox, so to speak. And I look now on my social media and I realize that it's my teaching background where I'm teaching people about what we do on the ranch here in Oklahoma. My photography background, you know, is great for Instagram. So, I mean, there's all of these aspects that I think, you know, as you go through the journey of life, it serves you in whatever you're doing next.
The storytelling element really helps, doesn't it?
Yes.
And you're right. I think a lot of people see, you know, ranching and people who are selling, you know, the product that comes from it. They're not educated enough. I think that's the problem, right? Is we don't get educated enough on the benefits of, you know, the meat or whatever and any product, whatever it is. You know, and then they just think, oh, it's easy to just go to Walmart and grab something else rather than buying it, like I said, from you guys, you know, at the ranch or another provider, whoever it is. There's great, you know, ranches that sell meat around the state. Education is the big problem, right? You don't get the word across, but having that ability to tell stories in a way that people actually want to listen and watch, where they're on their Instagram, has probably served you a really, really, you know.
It does. I think also, really you know, a few generations ago, everybody had a grandfather or an uncle or somebody that had a farm, you know, that they might go visit in the summertime or whatever. And now I find more and more families that are 2 or 3 generations separated, and they want that connection. They want that connection with a personal rancher. They want that connection with their food source. They are hearing all of this noise out there about that they should be afraid of their food or whatever. And I think they enjoy seeing there are really good people who are professionals at what they do, feeding not just America but the world.
Yeah, backing up a little bit because I don't want to miss this bit of obviously your maiden name is McCoy. McCoy is a very famous kind of riding in Oklahoma.
It is.
And obviously you have pretty famous brothers in that. Were you equally as like, I want to get on a horse, I want to do all the riding and be as competitive as your brothers?
Yes, I actually, even when I was teaching school the summertime, I would barrel race competitively at a professional level.
Wow.
So yes, definitely growing up, and I rode English and Western, and you know, it just, horses I loved. But yeah, my brothers, a lot of people in Oklahoma don't even know that they have a sister, I think, because I'm a little bit older than they are. And they were on the Amazing Race 3 times. So I think that gets a lot more traction. But
well, for the people who don't know, like myself, don't know the difference, what is the difference between Western and English?
Mainly the type of riding and the saddle. Okay. So like if you see someone with the saddle that's the English saddle with no saddle horn and the iron stirrups, and maybe they're jumping like in the Olympics, that's going to be an English style of riding, as opposed to the Western that you're going to see on the ranch with the Western style saddle.
Yeah. So to be good at both is, I mean, do people mostly just kind of like focus on one and that's their craft, or do they do both?
They usually focus on one. Okay. But I loved both, and my dad thought that it made us better riders to have to do different things.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Did you ever think when you watched the Olympics, did you think, I'd love to do that one day and be there?
Yes.
Right?
I have never jumped with a horse or played polo, and those are 2 things I would love to do.
Yeah. That was, because I mean, that's the thing, obviously, that people, you know, back home, and I was in a house the other day, and there was a giant painting on the wall of you know, the people back home in the UK in their red coats, and they were going fox hunting.
Yes.
And I was telling my friend that I said fox hunting's now banned in the UK, but they allow it on one day a year, and it's the day after Christmas.
Okay.
It's still banned, right? But they just kind of put up with it for one day of the year. You know, no one's going to stop them because everybody's doing it.
Yes.
But it's really cool to see them just jumping, you know, riding through the fields, jumping hedges, you know, that are 6 to 8 feet high.
I would think you would have to be fearless to do that.
Oh yeah.
I can't imagine.
Oh, no thanks. You know, and I've never really been comfortable on a horse. I had a terrible experience when I was a kid, and it's kind of ruined me, and I need to get over that fear and get back on a horse. But they're amazing creatures. They're beautiful, and obviously horse racing in the UK is quite a big big sport, and
yes.
horse racing tracks and owners, and that's the horse racing that I see when I grew up. I never saw the farming and the ranching side and the barrel racing side. I mean, that's a serious skill, and you've got to have a lot of confidence, both of you, to do that. So I'm sure it was exhilarating to do that.
It was exhilarating, and I enjoyed that time in my life, but I think being able to ride also makes it fun now on my social media, because we lease 1,400 acres from the Nature Conservancy.
Okay.
And just to kind of give you a little background with that, there's an area that we call the Prairie Preserve that's close to where we are, and they are researching that area and how can we, take this land back to how it was at the prairie and how it changes. And so anytime that I'm out there checking our steers in the summer, I may see a van of college students from Kansas or Oklahoma, come across. But we don't use any type of wheeled vehicles out there. So I go check the cattle on my horse. And when I'm out riding, I just take my cell phone, and I may be galloping across the pasture and videoing and talking, and I'm constantly have people ask me, who's out there videoing you while you're doing that? And I'm like, nobody, just me.
Oh, that's so good. You're right, though, because and to that point, like, there's so many ecosystems in Oklahoma, right? And that's one of the great things about this state. But the fact that you get to see firsthand the kind of rehabilitation of an ecosystem and
share it.
Yeah, it's
awesome. So I may get off my horse and be like, okay, look at these bees all over this, or right. See how the cactus is blooming, or it's fun. I guess that's the teacher side of me.
Sure.
That wants to get off, and I have people from all over the U.S. that are like, oh, we love when when you're on the prairie. So right,
yeah, and it also gives you kind of like people see you riding your horse, like, okay, she's like legit, she's real, she's grown up, she's not just someone who's like saw the business opportunity to go sell meat. And it's like, oh yeah, now I do this, like coming from teaching. But back to teaching and riding professionally at the same time, did any of your students find out, or any of your peers and teachers, like, what are you doing on the weekend? Are you sure? Like,
yeah, sometimes.
What did they think of that? Did they just think that's the coolest thing?
I think that they really enjoyed some of the stories that I had to tell, not just from rodeoing, more just growing up on a ranch, because it was different. And we had a mule we called Samuel. Very clever, I'm sure. And my brothers and I would back him into the pond and get on him and jump off and swim. And those aren't things that kids growing up in Dallas, Texas, had seen. But I enjoyed telling the stories.
So then fast forward, then you make it back. You think, I'm done teaching. Mm-hmm. I'm moving home. I'm going to do the get back in the family business.
Actually, no.
Really?
Because my family, by that time, my brothers were married, had their own land or places. My dad and mom had started in they actually raised professional bucking bulls. And so our ranching life had changed. Okay. And so it was my husband, when he and I got married, he had grown up in a ranching family from up by Miami, Oklahoma, and has a degree from Oklahoma State in ag economics. And when we started dating, we talked about what do we see our life looking like. And he actually has a commodity trading business that he continues, but we said, we want to raise children on a ranch.
Yeah.
And fast forward just a little bit, after we were married a year and a half, we actually adopted 3 children all at one time.
Amazing.
That were full siblings.
Yeah.
From the state of Oklahoma, and so
that's incredible.
They are grown now, but it was quite an adventure, and just living in the country was a good way for them to grow up.
How does that come about? How do you because I had a similar conversation with Dr. Shrum. She also has 3 adopted kids
I didn't
from
realize
Ethiopia.
That.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're all at Oklahoma State, actually, I think. How does that happen?
Well, my husband and I knew that I could not have children.
Okay.
And so when we got married, we knew that we would adopt, and we started the process. And we were actually just on the verge of making a trip to Russia to adopt. And we had done our home study here, and we got a call and said, we have 3 that are legally free, and we want to try to keep them together.
Yeah.
And they knew that I had grown up with 4 brothers, and they said, we think that you guys can do it.
Amazing.
And so they were 4, 2.5, and 1.5 when we brought them home.
Yeah. Was the plan early on just to do one, or was it just kind of, we'll just see what happens?
Well, to do one, and as we were talking to people about going to Russia, we were told you might as well get 2 because of the cost. And so really 1, maybe 2, definitely not 3.
Yeah.
But it's been awesome. So.
What a fascinating and amazing experience to have, because it's very rare that you get 3 together, right? And obviously for them, they obviously want to keep them together, but to have that and to have them, at such a young age too, and then get to raise, that's fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
so they grew up, with 4-H and horses.
Yeah.
And
Well, I mean, I love that. I think that's brilliant. And growing up, like you said, on the ranch and giving, your kids now that lifestyle of growing up and all the kind of little values that you had and learned everything. And
our son especially, the ranch gave him an opportunity to heal. There's a saying that's the outside of the horse is good for the inside of the man.
Yeah.
And I think it was good for all 3 of them.
Oh, that's so good. So good. How old are they now?
They are 24, 23, and 22.
Yeah. Are they on the ranch? Are they involved?
No.
Or do they do their own thing?
One daughter lives with us.
Okay.
And she actually has a little one. So they moved back in with us. And so our granddaughter is growing up on the ranch with us.
That's amazing.
So, yeah.
Oh, it's so cool to have that, and something I never would have expected. But that's brilliant. And that's one of the reasons that we do this podcast, is to share stories like that. Like that's special. So, what an awesome little turn to have. I love it. So obviously, you have a grandchild, which is incredible because they're special, and
yes.
Now you get to spoil the grandchild, right? Whereas Mum's probably like, stop giving him candy, and you're like, no, I can do whatever I want.
Well, actually, we don't give her candy, but we just bought her a pony. So
that's the ranching alternative.
She's 20 months and she has her own horse. So I think that we're well on our way.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. So then you and your husband have this experience. You get into you have the ranch and you get into the business. What is the kind of the state of the business at that time of and not personal business, but what is the state of the industry at that time when you get into having the cattle and thinking we're going to go and sell the meat and things that come from that?
Well, as I said, he was a commodity trader.
Okay.
And so starting out, it was, we are going to continue our jobs. I was a photographer at the time when I moved back. My mom has actually been a photographer in Oklahoma for over 30 years. She had the first all-digital studio in Oklahoma. So when I moved back, she taught me a lot of those skills, and I was doing that on the side. Yeah. As I said, we were only married 1.5 years when we got the kids, so I pretty much had my hands full at that point. But so the ranching was more of our lifestyle in addition at the time.
Yeah.
And so we started with 100 acres and 20 head of cattle, and then it just continued to grow because my husband, as our neighbor says, never met a cow he didn't like. Yeah. So we've added to that herd over the years and just continued to grow.
And so this started late 90s?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's when you have an...
well, we married in 1999, so about 2000. Yeah.
What, obviously you get the passion for photography from your mum.
Yes.
Just kind of Western style photography or everything?
We mainly did portrait photography.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So seniors, families, that kind of thing.
Great business to be in, right? Yeah. That's one thing the UK does not do is senior photos or any kind of photos like that.
Somebody needs to start that.
Just graduation photos. But
yes.
Obviously, and out here, I think the one thing that you guys definitely do a lot more than we do is graduate from anything. In the UK,
kindergarten, 8th grade. Yes.
We don't have any of that. We have like university graduation, and that's it. Which is, it's funny. I had those conversations with my parents. I'm like, they'd come over here and they'd go to friends' houses of mine. Like, why are there so many photos of you in a cap and gown? Like, and they do the same thing. It's 8th grade. It's all of this, and I think in my grandparents' house there's 2 photos of somebody in a cap and gown, and it's my mum and my aunt. And
I love
that's
it.
It's just so funny that the cultural differences.
Definitely.
But again, great business to be in. So that's fascinating that you kind of have that photography side of things because. it's a skill that's evolved. I mean, the technology has evolved immensely, obviously, over the time.
Immensely. Everybody's carrying a camera now.
Yeah.
But I find that people that appreciate good photography love it, whether it's from a camera or from their cell phone or whatever. So,
yeah. Do you still get to get out and shoot? Not from your iPhone,
I actually
your camera?
am just considering a new Canon.
Yeah.
That new, what is it, the
R5,
R6 or R, yes, that has some video capabilities. So
brilliant.
It's in my blood, I think.
I can help you with that. I know
great.
Bedford's Camera are a sponsor, and they do very good deals.
Awesome.
So
Thank you, Bedford.
Yes, Bedfords are amazing. Shout out to them. If you ever need anything, I think I have a discount code with them. I think it's This Is Okay. So if anyone who's listening that needs camera equipment, use that and you'll get a discount. I'm not sure what the discount is, but you will get one. But yeah, photography is fascinating. Photography is how I took... My senior year, I had classes in photography, and I kind of fell in love with it again because I had a camera back home. Didn't bring it to Wales. Didn't bring it to the States. But it for me, it's just a sense of getting out and peaceful, and just you're out there, and obviously if you're on the ranch, like it's capturing those moments.
And it's the art piece of it.
Yeah.
I love that aspect. So
yeah, amazing. So all of these things are going on. You have the little ones. You're working as a photographer, but you obviously have 20 cattle at the time, and then you're growing that. And this is late 90s, early 2000s. Mm-hmm. Fast forward us to now. Like, what are is there a time in that business where it becomes, this is our business now? You kind of drop the photography a little bit and it really takes off and you start really selling the meat and thinking, we should double down on this and do
well,
this.
Well, as the kids grew and they were involved in so many activities and the ranch grew, then the photography I would do for clients that I had for a long time, mm-hmm. or for my own personal, but that kind of got pushed just a little bit, and it was more about the ranch and it was more about the kids. And then actually our business really changed for me when our youngest graduated from high school, mm-hmm. because that's when I was looking for my next big project, if you will. And I had just had more and more people at that point in time. This would have been the fall of 2018.
Okay.
And I had more and more people coming to me saying, we want to buy our beef from the ranch. And I told my husband, I said, I feel this need, because still, even today, the majority of the beef that we raise is sold commercially. So this is still just a portion of what we do on Callison Ranch. But I said, I can do that. And I just started with what I had, and it really continued to grow. Yeah. And my husband Roger was with me one weekend. We are halfway between Oklahoma and Dallas, where we're at, around Ada. And more and more people wanted to take their Saturday and drive down to the ranch, get the beef, kind of take a little tour, see what we do. Yeah. And he's the one who said, okay, you need more than just a freezer for people to come to.
Right. And
he saw the vision in us actually putting in a small market on the ranch. And so we started moving into Callison Ranch Market. We were already shipping at that time, and that has totally been through our social media. Just this week, we sent beef right from the ranch in Oklahoma to Maryland, Arizona, Idaho, Texas, Oklahoma, Florida. So they want that connection. But anyway, we decided this is something that I would do, and it's continued to grow.
Yeah.
So.
Do you tie that kind of shipping it all around the country and sometimes worldwide or into a different nation? Do you kind of see that and attribute that to the social media side of things?
I would say definitely for me it is. Yeah, definitely social media, because people watch our social media and feel like they know us, but then once it started getting rolling, I think they also see that we have a premium product. Yeah. And they want that premium product and find where to get it.
Right.
So.
Well, and the great thing is people develop the taste that they like, right?
Yes.
But I love the fact that you kind of you recognize the shift at the time, that people were shifting towards buying, locally raised or just, they can see, and thanks to social media, they can see the story behind the food that they're eating, and how that develops, because people kind of seem to care a lot more now.
Yes,
and
they know where their food comes from and how it was raised.
Yeah.
And that was in the fall of 2018. Well, enter COVID in 2020, and it exploded.
Really?
Yes, I would say that from between February of 2020 to April 1st of 2020, our sales quadrupled.
I never would have thought that.
Everybody wanted to find it online. So
yeah, and obviously you guys were all very well positioned.
Yes.
You have a great
Yes.
website. Very easy for you guys to do e-commerce online,
Yes.
and the orders just coming in. Is it that moment where you just kind of have like a light, like the dinging of the laptop keeps going off? That's another order. What are we gonna do?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
but definitely a blessing. So.
Oh, for sure. And now, looking at the website, now you have 350 plus cattle come from, you've gone from 20 to that.
Yes.
Like you said, your husband never met a cow you didn't like. So you keep
on
going.
the other hand, have met several that I did not care for. But
it's a hard business to be in, and I'm sure you get good eggs and bad eggs, right?
But we also, I have to give a shout out. We have some guys that have worked with us for 10, 15 years, and we couldn't do it without them. They're awesome. So
for the people listening, and I'll put the link to the description for the link to the website in the description. You guys can go and check that out and order some food from while we're doing this. But what predominantly is kind of the products that you sell, and do you have a best selling kind of what is like the most popular stuff, and then just a product range in general?
When Roger and I went to Africa on a safari a number of years ago, we found that it was amazing that nothing was wasted. Yeah. And we loved that. We loved that concept. And so when we take our cattle to the USDA processor, which we use one right here in Oklahoma that's USDA certified, we said, if we can bring it home, we want to.
Okay.
So if that's the head, if that's the oxtail, everything. Yeah. And so we find that we have a huge market for every piece, if you will. If you're wanting to make lingua tacos with the tongue, we can help you out.
Yeah.
But I would say that biggest sellers are going to be your ribeyes, and we do a really neat tomahawk ribeye, some things that maybe a little more difficult to find in the grocery store if you want that high-end restaurant quality. So we're able to do that. And then also our beef sticks are super popular. So going back, tell me about Africa, because that is something that is on a lot of people's bucket list, is to go on a safari to Africa and just experience that. Yes.
How does that come about, and how long are you there, and is it just like a fact-finding mission? Like what is how do you go about that?
That was kind of on my husband's bucket list.
Yeah.
And so we planned, scheduled it like 2 years out. And I actually traded the photography of a girl's wedding, where I did the photography, for her to keep my kids while I was gone to Africa. So we did a little barter there. Yeah. But we went, and it forever changed how I see just our everyday world, because when you're there, everything is so different. The fauna, the flora, your eyes are so open. So when you come back, you see Oklahoma from a different perspective, because it's not, I've seen this. And maybe you from Wales, maybe you see
all the opportunities.
Yes, and things differently. So I would say that, and if somebody has the opportunity to, whether it's Africa or Europe or whatever, I'm a big fan of travel.
Yeah. So. Well, and to that point, the different ways that, like you said, they don't waste anything, but also the different techniques in the ranching style would have been all around the world are different too, right? So for you kind of getting to see those different ways that they do with the machinery they may or may not have, and the hand ways to do everything. And I'm sure there were probably things that you ate over there you think, I've never eaten this before in my life.
Most things that we ate over there. We did not eat any beef. We had kudu burgers. We ate wildebeest. We had, they call it zebra instead of zebra.
Yeah, we call it zebra.
And we had zebra fillets, which is not the same as eating a horse, I can promise you. But anyway, it was fascinating.
What a great experience.
Yes.
And then you come back and like you said, you see all this opportunity and nothing, we're not going to waste anything.
We're not,
and then
yes.
you have the full product line of that what you have today. Oh, that's so fascinating.
And we love doing that because even the head, there's only one per steer, of course.
Yeah.
And the cheek meat is highly prized by people who want to make tamales with it, I guess.
Okay.
And so we'll have people drive up from Dallas or call. We have a waiting list for heads. I mean, I know that sounds, everybody knows that we have ground beef and roasts and steaks.
To be fair, there are a short supply of heads, right?
Yes,
like you got plenty of steaks, but you only got one head.
But we love saying that the time and effort that went into this animal, we're not going to waste anything.
Brilliant.
So
that's so cool to have that, and so cool to have, like I never would have thought you'd have a waiting list for, I mean, it makes sense.
Yes.
But, it's not something I thought I'd hear today. Do you partner with anybody on the cooking side of things? Because obviously, like, for me, example, I'm terrible at cooking. But, but if I were the tomahawk is probably one of the most glamorous looking bits of meat, especially when you see it cooked properly. And I would watch endless YouTube videos on how to do it before I actually,
Exactly.
But do you partner with anyone, or do you do any of the education side on how to cook this properly and to not, waste the meat and do it in a right way?
Well, I'm just recently been added to the Oklahoma Beef Council.
Okay.
And so they've called me in to do a few dishes.
Yeah.
And my grandmother, she was a caterer and an excellent cook. She cooked for all the hired hands on their ranch. And so, and I did a lot of the cooking. My mother does not like to cook either.
Yeah.
She is a very, very artistic, talented person, but cooking's
not in her wheelhouse.
So when you've got 4 boys that you're trying to feed and your daughter likes to cook, I did a lot of the cooking. So I would say that a lot of things I make may not be glamorous, but they're good.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, I think that I've gotten more into the cooking recently as far as just showing it on social media, because I have so many people say, well, I would love to buy a brisket, but I don't know how to prepare that.
Sure.
And I'm thinking, okay, here's a void in my industry that I can show you how to do that.
Yeah. I had a recent podcast was with a gentleman who has a channel on Instagram and YouTube, and he's a pastor, but he loves grilling and barbecuing and stuff. And he was mentioned he'd partnered with certain ranchers just to have that educational side. But the good thing is you're a teacher as well, so you have back to the educational skills.
Yes, but it might be a good idea to partner with somebody.
Yeah, I'll connect you guys for sure, because I know you guys would benefit. But it's just cool to have that, right? Because I think you're full circling everything, right? You're showing people on your social media, this is how we do everything, and then when they get that piece of meat on their plate or on the grill, this is how I would prepare it. This is how different people prepare it. But I think back to education is people aren't getting educated enough, and I think they assume too much that, you just throw it in the grill, turn it up, and it'll be fine.
Yeah.
But every cut's different, and
it is different, and you're losing the benefit of the premium product.
Right.
If you're not preparing it. But there's so many easy ways to prepare it and to feed your family.
Yeah.
And like you said, to show that full circle of this is something that we're unique in that all of the beef that we sell, we have raised from start to finish. So from the time that it's a calf to processing, it's been on our ranch. And so we know exactly where it came from. And so to me, it's an honor and a privilege to say, I can help you feed your family, make memories at your table with this beef that came from Callison Ranch.
Yeah. One of the other things, I know you have a great YouTube channel, great Instagram channel, but your YouTube's kick backside. You have 64,000 followers on YouTube.
I didn't even know that.
I
might want to get on YouTube more.
I can cut this out if you want, but you should definitely use that as a marketing tool.
Okay, I'm gonna make that a personal challenge to do more YouTube.
I'm looking at your YouTube channel right now, and you have 64,000 subscribers. You have, I'm gonna go to top video. Most popular video has 21 million views. You should probably.
I didn't even know that.
You should probably turn, and it's the horses run into the barn and know their own stalls.
Yes. Yeah.
You should probably turn up your advertising on, like turn up the Google.
Thank you for that challenge.
You're going to make some money from your 21 million views if you haven't turned your AdSense on.
Okay.
So, I love that. This is which is probably the reason why you have.
And there's videos on there that we were able to take
your kids are involved. There's really cool
drone and show us riding across the Nature Conservancy.
Yeah.
And so.
I'll take full credit for having you.
Thank you.
So
and
good.
I'm going to need to text you as
that's
information.
Brilliant. Yeah. But no. I mean, to that point, like social media is so good, right? Like it's worldwide. It's free for most part. Yes, you can spend money on ads if you want to, but it's such a great resource. And I sometimes I feel like I'm banging my head against the wall talking to some business owners, and but I don't have the time. I'm like, no, you should make time, but also please don't hire your 12-year-old kid to do it, because then they don't know
exactly
the educational side of the stuff that you do about your business. They might just take a picture and post it.
Well, and I think people say I don't have time, but I have found that I have my phone with me, and I have often been told that our social media is very authentic, and I think it's because I don't mind if we are, pulling a calf. We were loading some cattle on a cattle trailer last week, and I see it more as you're my friend and I'm taking you with me. Yeah,
which is a great way to do it, right? Because if it's polished, people don't trust it as much.
Yes,
I think. But the way that you, like said, you're hey, it's not, it's not edited too much. This is how it really is. I'm not going to hide it from you, which is really cool. One thing I do want to touch on, back to you being involved in the Oklahoma Beef Council.
Yes.
Tell me about that. That's very important, obviously, for the state. But kind of, what does that entail, you being involved in that?
Well, there are beef councils in every state.
Okay.
In the United States, and it is a support for the beef industry. So let's say we want to, we did an ad with an Oklahoma Thunder player, a few years ago. Then we're able to come in, show how, educate how the beef can be prepared. If you've not been on beefitswhatsfordinner.com, that is something that is. We help support through the Oklahoma Beef Council and also on a national level. And it is a tremendous resource for recipes, nutrition, fitness, all things that relate to our industry. And so we're really there as a support for ranchers. Yeah. Because many of them feel that they are, if you're just day-to-day out working on the ranch, you're kind of an island. Yeah. And so we're there to help people see, the benefits of the product that they have to offer here in Oklahoma.
Yeah. Tony Romo was your recent.
Yes.
Which, I mean, there's people who love him, people who hate him, but everyone knows who he is. So very good get for you guys to have him involved. But yeah, that's a great resource to have and to support the industry, right?
Yes.
I'm looking at the website now, and it's got a lot of educational stuff on there as well. But, from your perspective, to have someone like the Beef Council for you, you as a business owner, only serves you, wonderful things, right? Does great things for you.
Yes,
because you're just lifting up the industry.
Exactly. The Oklahoma Beef Council, I can call them and say, I'm going to be at a farmer's market. Yeah. I need some literature that shows whether it be recipes or nutrition information. And so they're able to be that resource for people. Yes.
Looking back then, when you grew up, people probably would have said, like, if they saw you as a kid and they see you now, they're not going to be surprised. Right? They'd be like, oh, of course she does that because she grew up on a ranch.
I don't know.
But, I loved, and one of the reasons I love doing this podcast is because of the ways you navigate through life and you become a teacher, and how you use those teaching skills in what you do today, and how you educate people through the social media channels on your product. And every kind of turn that we take in life, definitely we definitely learn something from it, and uses we help it. I can't get my words out today. It helps us in the next thing that we do, even though we probably don't think it will. It does. I just love that you come through teaching and you have this ranch now with your husband, and you're changing lives by doing it. You're educating people. You're selling meat around the country. I
think there's so many young people that really get caught up in what am I going to do with the rest of my life. And I think instead, if we can focus on some of those, what are you interested in right now?
Yeah.
Go do it, and do it with a passion. Do it with hard work. Look for opportunities, network, meet people, and then that's going to lead you to another opportunity. And we have different seasons in life, and that's part of the fun of life in general. Instead of looking at it of, I've got to get this job, and that's where I'm going to be, and this is my, open your eyes, and there's a lot of opportunity out in the world right now, and social media opens up many doors. So.
Yeah. For people then who might be listening or might be watching this podcast then who think, hey, I want an opportunity to go learn somewhere, do you guys take interns? Is there an opportunity with you guys, or through the council do you know places that do take
I do know places that take interns, and I've actually recently had many people reach out. So I'm looking at taking a couple of interns. I actually spoke to a group of students from Purdue University recently, and several of them were like, we need to come to Oklahoma. So
yeah, tell me about the coffee side of things. That's on your website too.
Yes. Yeah. We have found that not only with our beef, but I feel like we've worked really hard to brand ourselves. And as I said, we opened Callison Ranch Market, and with that, other products have introduced themselves, and we found another small business that we were able to partner with that roasts their beans in small batches.
Yeah.
And we now have a Callison Ranch coffee, and then other flavors, and so we offer that.
Yeah.
A lot of swag products, different candles, and we're actually looking at launching a number of new products this fall.
Okay, yeah, because I'm on the website looking at the list. You got candles and scents, cups and mugs, aprons, spices and salts. Obviously, it's a big one because I think goes with the meat.
I think
too.
that needs to, as I expand the cooking, the spices definitely. So.
Yeah, and then beef sticks has its own thing because it's very
very popular.
Yeah, that's so. I mean, the good thing is, and when you look at all this stuff, and when you can actually sit back for once and look at the business and think, where is there opportunity? And then you find the time to dive into things, right? And you might struggle with this because I know I do. Is I take 10 things at once. I can do all of these things, right? And then you think, I need to rein it in a tiny bit more.
You might be like me, more ideas than you have time.
Yes, 100%. But the good thing is, we're kind of opportunity is a great thing, but also can be a bad thing because then we try and take on everything, right? So it's indecision, and instead of focusing on one thing and doing that 110%, you give 25% to something else. But by partnering with people that strategically, that really helps you out, and takes care of a lot of the headaches.
Love partnering with people. We've had other small businesses do pop-ups at our market because we built a patio right off of the market. And so that we could have some events there. We're really looking this fall to do some long table suppers. I think that ag tourism in Oklahoma is really just getting
that would be amazing.
Getting rolling, and people like to come and just be there. Just be at the ranch.
To have that starlight supper kind of experience out in the middle of nowhere. On the
and
ranch,
we would love to have a chef and him talk about the cuts and make it an experience. I think people are looking for experiences in their life,
especially after the whole last 2 years.
You're
of
so
being
right.
locked inside. Everyone wants to get out more and do that. And even if it's just driving down for the day and taking a tour and coming away with some meat and some swag.
Bringing their kids.
Yeah.
We have a lot of homeschool
you guys have
moms.
the Airbnb thing too, right?
We do. Yeah. We have a, right on the ranch, there is a little, we call it the Creek Lodge. Yeah. And we were renting it. We had a renter there for 10 years. And when they moved out, we thought, okay, perfect time. And we renovated it. And it's really ranchy and Western, but super comfortable. And has a pool table and beds and a screened-in porch. And so, yes, we do lease that out where people can come and stay.
Yeah. So finishing up then, obviously, we've kind of gone in a massive kind of circle sort of today. It's been in and out of timelines, which is super valuable to people listening because there's so many things that add to the story. I mean, we're 20 years in, 20, give or take 20 years in to having this business. What's the next kind of, 20-year timeline? Like, what are you, other than the products we obviously just spoke about, but what's the plan? What do you want to do? And kind of long term, if I spoke to you in 30 or 40 years, you'd be like, I'm glad we did this.
That's a long time span, but I see more and more of the branding of the Callison Ranch. We actually, the home that Roger and I bought when we first got married, we sold that to some friends of ours. That and the original 100 acres about a year ago. And so we are in the process right now. We bought a piece of property we call Chinkapin, which I'm just starting to kind of introduce on our Instagram. Yeah. And after this podcast, we are headed over to the architect, Sam Gresham's office. I don't know if you're familiar with him. And he is working to help us build what we would consider our dream home on the ranch.
Amazing.
And so I really, I would like to do more writing and blogging. Yeah. And so, and maybe even some children's books that relate to the ranch. And so I see some of that in the future, and especially as we build Chinkapin and invite guests to come and stay there.
Yeah. Where does the name come from?
The Chinkapin oaks that are on the property, the Oklahoma tree that are there. We thought that was unique.
And the house, are we talking a kind of massive barndominium? Are we talking like, what is your, it's not going to be a giant steel glass structure, obviously.
No, it's not a steel glass, and it's going to be on the banks of a beautiful 14-acre lake that is there on the property, surrounded by the Chinkapin oaks. Yeah. And probably more of a mountain modern type home, but definitely something with that we see as plenty of bedrooms to host groups and maybe even have weddings out there and that kind of thing. So
awesome. Do you know Brett McPherson?
I don't.
No, okay.
Oh, wait. No, is she I think I know her on Instagram as Designers Brew or whatever. Yes, I do not know her personally, but I definitely follow her on Instagram.
Yeah, she, that's just someone who came to mind because she's in that world of doing ranching and housing.
Yes, in fact, I think she's doing a really cool project right now for the Stewart Ranch that I've been following, so I'll have to reach out to her.
Yeah, she's great. But that's someone who just came to mind of, that would be awesome to get you guys together and, do the all into, because
I would love that.
Brett has a vision. I'm terrible at that stuff. That's why I pay someone to do it for me. But this has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.
It's so nice to meet you, and I have loved following your Instagram and your podcast and what you're doing here in Oklahoma, because no matter where I travel, I tell people that Oklahoma is one of the best kept secrets. It is an amazing place to raise your family and to be a part of. So thank you for what you do.
Thank you. We have to try and keep it. That's the hard part, right? It's like we need to tell our story.
You're out here advertising.
Yeah, we need to tell it, but also we need to keep some secrets for ourselves, right? Which the good thing is this is a big enough state for everybody. So. Is there anything else you want to talk about that we haven't covered?
The only other thing that I would say is not only can you pick up our beef at the ranch near Ada, we also ship it, but we have recently are the premium beef provider at Carlton Landing. I don't know if you're familiar with the community over by Lake Eufaula. Yes. So they've opened what they call the pantry there. Okay. So if you're kind of over in that part of the state and want to, just go through Carlton for the day, then you can pop into the pantry and pick up one of our tomahawks or whatever else that comes right from Callison Ranch.
We, my day job is real estate, and we sell a lot of places at Carlton Landing. Okay. So awesome. Katie up there does a great job.
Yes, Katie Chapman.
Yes, does a fantastic job of selling for me and Katie are on the same team. So, small world.
So you probably know Wyatt Poindexter.
I work for Wyatt. I was with him yesterday. Yeah.
Wonderful. Yes, he and Angie are friends of ours. So.
Amazing. So I'm gonna have to text him now because he has no idea who I'm interviewing today. That's great. Well. Nikki, thanks so much. This has been an absolute pleasure. I'm fascinated now. I need to dive in and do more history, do more research into the history.
I think you and your wife and your dogs need to come by the ranch and check it out.
Yeah, my dogs, they're very they're divas, I'll put it that way. I would love to put them on a ranch just to see how they reacted, but I know one of them would have a great time. The other one would be with her tail between her legs, hiding. Okay. Which is funny because she's the bigger of the two. But yeah, I'd love to do that. I think that'd be fantastic to come and check it out and see you down there and just be in your world, because, it's great to get away from hustle and bustle of concrete life and city life. Is not that we have a massive city here, but it is a city.
Yes.
So thank you so much for that invite. For people listening, I'll put the links to the Instagram, the website in the description. You guys can check that out and go to Nikki's YouTube channel because it's amazing.
Now I'm going to have to get busy on YouTube, I think.
Callison Ranch. Callison Ranch Beef on YouTube, and it'll come up and you'll see the video of the horses running into the barn knowing their own stalls that has 21 million views, which has blown my mind. That's the best thing that's happened today. This is so good. But yeah, thank you so much for coming down. For people listening, like I said, I'll post the links in the description and we will catch you next episode. Cheers. This podcast is presented by the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, telling Oklahoma stories through its people since 1927. Follow them online at oklahomahof.com and definitely on Instagram at oklahomahof.
Thank you for listening. We are inspired by those around us and hope that you are too. Make sure you subscribe to this podcast on your favorite podcast platform and leave us a review so we can keep telling your stories. For more great Oklahoma content, follow This Is Oklahoma on Facebook and Instagram.